She's the owner of Gym Cats in Las Vegas, and also with us from Progress Now Nevada Action, Annette Magnus. Ladies, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
I want to remind everybody real quickly before we get into this just exactly what the margin tax will do. It is 2% on your gross, but you can also deduct 3 different ways. Entity's total revenue minus salaries or cost of goods, simply 70% of its total revenue. Whichever is less, an entity's only taxing the percentage of the margin that represents its Nevada business. Tell us about your business. I know you're an education advocate. Tell us about your business and why you think this is worth doing.
Well, I own Gym Cats. It's a gymnastics, cheerleading, dance, martial arts school for kids. And so kids is that's our business. And we think education is so important. And you kept saying, I can't wait to pay this tax. I'm going to do cartwheels for this tax. Nobody wants to pay a tax. No business wants to pay a tax. But education is so important for the future of our economy and our society. So I really think it's important.
I know I don't want you to have to talk about how much money you make and all that. You probably wouldn't do that even if I asked you. But are you going to be able to absorb this? I mean, you know what the calculation is. Are you going to be able to absorb this? Are you going to have to raise the rates that you charge people? How are you going to do that?
We're not going to have to raise the rates. We are going to be able to absorb it. We're glad to absorb the amounts that we're going to need to pay. And it's something that way Nevada kids don't get left behind. We're spending so little per pupil compared to the rest of the country. And I really think we adopted sons from Uganda, went to the worst education in the world, and we see what no funding and no money does. And we are definitely falling behind here in Nevada.
But what about businesses who say, you know what, I'm not as successful as that woman you have on there. She must be very successful. She can absorb this. What about businesses that aren't doing too well? You think they should have to absorb the cost of this to help fund education?
Well, first of all, 87% of the businesses are not going to be affected by this. But if not the top 13% of the businesses in Nevada, who is going to? Which big business industry is going to say, yay, we're going to pay this tax? Which ones are out there? I never hear them voting for any kind of tax, and someone has to pay this. It can't go on the middle class and the poor, and the income inequality in this country is ridiculous already. So we really need to step up. If these top businesses, we can afford it.
All right, Ms. Magnus, let me talk to you about how this tax would be assessed against hypothetical companies, as Jeremy Aguero put in his report. First 2 examples here, I hope that we're going to show these, illustrate the fiscal cliff effect of the margins tax. 2 companies with $1 difference in revenue have an $8,400 difference in their tax bill. This has to do with, it's a $1 million, not an exemption, but a threshold there. So you have $1 million and $1, suddenly you're getting crushed. That's really dumb, isn't it?
I don't think it's dumb at all. Here's what I think is dumb, that we don't fund our education
so you
adequately.
just want to change the subject to that as
No,
opposed to
it's
a
not
method.
it. 87% of businesses are not going to be affected by this tax at all. Like Cassie said, this is the top percent of businesses. And I'm sorry, like you were saying, I don't feel bad for the insurance industry. Yeah, they want to pass their costs along to us, because then they can charge us more and make more money. They're making billions and billions of dollars every year. The least they can do is reinvest in our kids.
But let's suppose we're both in business, and I make $1 million in gross, and you make $1 million in one. You are going to pay much, much more than I will. Does that make any sense to you?
Absolutely.
No,
but
come on.
Look, it's $1 you're talking about here. How many businesses are going to have a $1 difference that this is purely hypothetical, like you were saying, and I think it is being overinflated. I think this doomsday prophecy that they're talking about is just completely false.
All right, we're about 30 seconds left. Let me ask you a serious question. You have friends in business. How many friends in business do you have who are saying, you're right, we should pay this, let's educate our kids?
I actually don't know a lot of businesses that are above the $1 million threshold, but it's definite. It's a need that we have to fund education better in this state. It's just so imperative.
All right, I know you want to jump in. You always want to jump in. We're out of time. I really appreciate both of you. We're going to keep this debate going. Maybe we'll have you back. Thanks to both of you for coming on.
Thank you.
When we come back, a reality